Have you ever wondered how the streaming services like Netflix decide what movie to recommend, or how a doctor chooses the best treatment for a specific patient? Now, these decisions can be broken down using something super cool, and that is what we refer to as decision trees, right? And just to understand what these decision trees look like, you have a decision that you need to make, and you have the options that you want to choose from. And based on what you choose, there's going to be some other decision that you have to make from there, which follows this sort of like a tree-like structure that you can see here. So this is ideally what we refer to as decision trees. Now, by the end of this video, you'll not only understand these decision trees, but you'll also just be ready to build one decision tree for yourself, or just for anything really that you're doing. Now, the first thing that we need to understand is what these decision trees really are and why they're important. Now, a decision tree is like a flow chart. And so what a flow chart helps us do is, so we've said it's like a flow chart, and they help us make decisions step by step. And it is one of the most intuitive machine learning models because it mimics the way we think. Basically, how we think is that we have a big decision that we need to make, and what we do is we just split these big decisions into smaller ones. And we continue splitting them further until we get to a point where we fully understand what we need to do at the end of the day. Now, the way you can think of this as well is you want to choose something that you want to watch, right? If it is a movie, so you can be choosing between an action movie or a rom-com movie. And you're going to have branches. So if this is the main decision that you need to make, here you're going to have your movie A and movie B that you want to choose from. And here's where these decision trees are so powerful in such cases, and even many other cases like that. First, they are easy to understand, so it makes it easier for you to understand the decision that you want to make. Even if you don't have any technical background, they make it easier for you to understand. The second thing they do is they handle both numbers and categories. So they can handle numbers and categories. You're not restricted to any specific thing. And one of the other good things about decision trees is that they work great for predicting any outcomes. So, for example, if a customer is going to buy your product or not, these decision trees help in such cases. Now, how do they really work in sort of a more detailed manner? So first, we're going to just break this down into some step-by-step data set. And imagine that you are maybe going for a picnic, and this picnic that you're going to, it's good for you to go. Rather, it's going to be dependent on the weather of that specific day. When you're talking about weather, there are multiple things that play key in the weather. So this could be the temperature of the day. It could be whether the weather is sunny or something like that, or whether you're going to the picnic or not, right? So we're going to split these decisions into three columns. So you have weather, and when it comes to weather, you have three options, right? So whether it is going to be sunny, or is it going to be rainy, or is it going to be cloudy? You have these three options to choose from for the weather. And in terms of temperature, you also have similar decisions, really. So for temperature, there are three things. You have to consider whether it is going to be hot, whether it is going to be mild, or it's going to be cold. And in terms of you now going to the picnic, it is just a yes or no. So you can have picnic here at the end, and this is just a yes or no decision that you need to make. Now, how we're going to make a decision in such a case, we basically start at the root, right? And in this case, the root for us is ideally going to be now maybe the weather that we have. We start at the most important factor. As you mentioned, it's going to be dependent on the weather. Now, once you've chosen this most important factor, Then how we make this decision, we use a concept known as information gain. And what this does is it just tells us which question is going to split the it's going to split the data set best. So we'll just have it here. We refer to as information gain. It helps us understand which decision we're going to make best from this. Now, once we have decided that we're going to start with the weather, we're going to split this further. And how we're going to split it down, we can split it into the three options that we have for the weather. So we're going to have sunny, we're going to have rainy, and we're going to have cold. Based on these three decisions, we're going to make a decision. Now, each branch that you see here represents a possible answer for us. Then once you've chosen which specific weather condition you want to talk about, then we're going to just split everything further. Now we're going to just repeat this process until we make the best decision that we want to make. So at each level, we'll split further until we make the final outcome. Now, these are what we refer to as our leaf nodes. The leaf nodes are going to be basically the last decision. So if you have to split it further, and these are the last options that you have down here, these are what we refer to as your leaf nodes. And this is the root node. So where you have the that you want to decide here, this is your root node, and this is leaf node down here. So the leaf node in this case is going to be whether you're going to go to the picnic or not. So an example here is if it was sunny, then you'll consider whether it is hot, and will you make a decision to go to that picnic or not. And what you'll notice is that all these decisions, weather, temperature, and picnic, they are all dependent on each other. Now let's go back to the movies that we were talking about earlier in our decision making process. In an example here is like you've talked about the Netflix movie recommendation system. It could be even how YouTube recommends something to you to or for you to watch. There are a number of things that go into that. So the first thing that you have to ask in, let's say, your root node is, have you watched this genre of a movie recently, or even if it is Spotify and you want to listen to some music, have you listened to a certain genre of music before? Then the branches to that, in the case of our movies now, the branches are going to be, if this is, I just do a simple drawing here. So you are asking the question earlier on. So you ask the question here, have you watched, I'll just write as question so we'll understand. So have you watched this genre before or not? And this is going to be split into multiple branches. So for example, in a movie, you're going to have action. So this could be action. Then you have comedy on this side. And finally, you have drama. So just action, comedy, and drama with the D there. After we've split into these branches, we're going to go ahead and further split this, but it's going to be based on a number of things. So it could be based on the movie ratings. So ratings would be one thing that is also going to influence your decision. It could be based on the actors, whether it is these are actors that you like or not. It could be based on even the language that is used. Is it maybe in Spanish and you don't speak Spanish, English and you don't? It's going to be dependent on those. Now, this, by the end of the day, after you've gone through all these decisions, Netflix is going to now give you something that you're most likely to enjoy or something you're most likely to watch next. But as you can see, the decision is based on a series of questions, a series of decisions, a series of things that you always have to consider. Now, one challenge with these decision trees is something that we call as overfitting, right? So there's something that we call overfitting. And this is basically making the tree a bit too complex. So it memorizes the data instead of learning from that data. That is one big challenge. So to fix this challenge of overfitting, what we do is we call as pruning. So ideally, how you do with like plants and all. So we do pruning. This is a P here. Yeah, so we do what we refer to as pruning, and what this does is just it simplifies the tree by removing the less important splits in that tree. Based on this, this is ideally how now they work at the end of the day. And what we've seen up to this point is that decision trees, they help us in, I'm looking for a pen here. Yeah. So these decision trees, they split our data into step by step based on the decisions that we're going to make on a specific step. And they are powerful in predicting what you want to do. So, for example, if it is customers, whether a customer is going to make a decision to buy something or not. And one of the main challenges that these decision trees face is what we refer to as overfitting. And as you've seen, overfitting is a case where your tree becomes too complex so that it ends up memorizing the data instead of learning from that data for it to make a decision. And how we avoid this overfitting is by doing pruning. So the way we do it with plants, again, these are tree structures, so we understand that. So we basically just prune the tree to avoid this problem, or rather to help deal with this problem of overfitting. Now, now that we understand what these trees are, you can go ahead and try building your own decision trees during your own time in specific things that you want to represent. Could be just your day-to-day activities. You can still represent them on a decision tree. It doesn't have to be in a context of dealing with all these kinds of data in like data science or in software engineering, what you're trying to deal with. So you can use it to decide on what movie you're going to watch and stuff like that. Now, thank you so much for joining, for watching this video. I hope you've been able to learn a thing or two from it. You can go ahead and check the link that I'm going to put in the description below. It's to our website that it's going to help you further understand what these decision trees do, more in the context of machine learning. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.